Hi, everyone. Are we live? If so, please let me know in the chat. There is always a little delay between me and the people, so the first few seconds are always so awkward just waiting for people. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone. Hi, Kaylee. Welcome. I'm great. Thank you so much. It's DID Awareness Day, exciting day each year. So I'm having a good day. I feel really empowered and kind of hyped up. Been posting a lot today to spread the ID facts and OSDD facts. And an hour ago, we released a video that community members sent short video clips for. So that was super exciting. And yeah, now we're doing the live Q&A. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Feel free to post your questions in the chat if you have any about DID or OSD or plurality. For those who don't know us, we are the Stronghold System. We are 33 years young. We live in the Netherlands, so pardon the accent. We live here together with our 3 cats and our amazing child. And what else is there to know about us? We got diagnosed with DID 10 years ago. And last year, we started the Plural Association nonprofit, which is a nonprofit for people with DID, OSDD, and all other forms of plurality. And our main goal is to empower systems. So that is what we started last year, and that came forth from our work for Power to the Plurals, which is a website and this YouTube channel, and to make it more efficient and more official, we registered as a nonprofit last year. So that's super exciting. I see some people coming into the chat. Hi, everyone. My chat is here. My camera is there. It's not perfect, but we'll make it work, right? Let's see. Hi, Clockwords. Welcome. Thank you for being here and helping us moderate the chat. Appreciate it. Hi, Julia. Hi, AP. Sorry. Hi, Luna. Hi, Yumi. Hi, Jay. Hi, Aurora. Hi, Hannah. Hi, RH. Welcome, everyone. So nice to see you all here for the live stream. Like I said, if you have any questions about DID or about us or our system, feel free to post them in the chat. My name is Rosa. I am not the host of the system because we try to stay away from hosting, because every time our hosts get like hosting fatigue or like something like that. So we try to divide the tasks more between us, but I've been fronting a lot. So some people might qualify that as hosting. Welcome, everyone. So yeah, DID Awareness Day. Wispy is asking, is it like burnout? Yes. Yeah. We have trouble taking breaks sometimes. So that's an issue. And then if you also have trouble switching and dividing the tasks instead of I guess some of us want to like control the situation, or some of us believe we are the best person in the system for a certain task. And so then we have some control issues, multiple people in our system, right? So it happens for us a lot, the burnout thing. Hi to Palas, welcome. Thank you for being here. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was talking about hosting and burnout. I don't really know what else to say about that. So If you have a question, please throw it in the chat. What I want to know from people is what you did for, or what you're doing, or what you're going to do today for DID Awareness Day. That is every year on March 5th. And it's a day where we ask awareness for DID, OSDD, and other forms of disordered or adaptive plurality. So I want to know from you all what you're planning to do today. I will share a little bit later what we've been doing. Let's see. What resources are best for new systems? That's a great question. Yeah, I think when we find out we're plural, we don't all run into the same problem or same situation that we need an answer for. So that's kind of hard, but there are some things that we all need, right? Like learning internal communication. We have a nice video on that. The Crisis has an amazing website called kinhos.org, which has a free bootcamp. That's really great. And what else is out there? I don't know. We have 50 videos on here. Another great thing for new systems is the Plural Association community, which is a brand new social media platform just for plurals, no matter the label they use. And on there, you can ask your questions in various support groups. We have one for DID, we have one for OSDD, we have one for plurality. And then we have 20 different groups on there for specific topics. Lots of fun. And soon we're going to start courses there also for new systems, but it's not fully ready yet. Yeah, so I hope that helped. Let's scroll up a little bit and find the next question. Can a host become dormant? Yes, definitely. They can also come back. Happens a lot to us. So when we experience the burnout and we don't stop, we don't switch, that's what happens. We go dormant. Some of us. And it doesn't have to happen for every system, right? I can only share from my own experience, of course. Yomi says, I'm gonna draw my altars today. That's an awesome idea. I love that for DID Awareness Day. That's great. Another thing that I wanted to mention somewhere in this live stream, so now it seems like a good idea, is that DID Awareness Day obviously is about reaching singlets and explaining DID OSDD to them. But I think one thing that we can do, especially on DID Awareness Day, is also to bring that awareness inside and to do something specifically with our own system. Not so much maybe to explain DID, maybe you've already done that, right? But just to invite each other to come together and spend some time together, maybe set some goals together or agree on things you want to work on together. I think that's a great thing to do today, any day, but today is a great day. So here's my challenge. Find internal community. If you don't have internal communication, maybe you can do it on paper, write a letter to your headmates in your journal or something like that. Now I'm going to have a drink. Okay, let's see. Where am I? Oh, Jay says, they and another have been stuck in the front for 2 days now. Yeah, that happens to us sometimes as well. What we're trying to do now when we're front stuck is instead of trying to fully switch, to try to become co-conscious as a middle step. And that sometimes seems to work out for us. Sometimes. RH says, here today is already coming to an end. We didn't do anything specific. Life is just too rough to have space for our plurality. Yeah, that's valid. Especially anytime, but especially in these times, so much is going on in the world. So that makes a lot of sense. Here today is also coming to an end. It's 10 p.m. for me. Clockwork says, I've been considering coming out to a work friend as plural, but not today. I think it might be more time for awareness. Yeah. That's great, though. I hope that works out when you're ready. Hello from the Myriad system, coming out to my family today. Any advice for the holy rollers that will be there? I have no idea what that means. I'm so sorry. But coming out to your family is a big thing. So let's talk about that. I think the first thing to do is talk with your own system and go through various scenarios that could happen and come up with answers to some questions you expect you might receive so that you are aware of what the others in your system want to like convey and how they want to convey it to the family. We released a, what is it called? PDF, like an infographic today that explains DID and OSDD to loved ones and friends. So that is a great thing to use, maybe. I'm just thinking, where can you find it at the moment? I have no idea. I will tweet it after this live stream is over, so you can find it. Yeah. What else? Prioritize your safety over coming out. Like if you don't feel safe, like go home or change the subject. Like protect your safety, and also, like, I don't mean that like just physically, but also emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Like, you might, like, in the moment, you might be like, oh, I can handle this. But like, there's a bunch of other people in you who will also hear that conversation, and they also have to go there with the next holiday and the next birthday, right? So I think that's really good to like stay really in contact with your system during the conversation. If that's hard, then maybe you can like take breaks, go to the bathroom. Another great thing is that you can type on your phone in like the notes, and they will probably just think you're texting someone, but that way you can quickly like communicate with each other. If that's easier for some people. I think that's it. It's kind of hard, like on the top of my head, think of all the things about coming out, but I think those are my main tips. I hope it goes well. Yeah, good luck. The Redwood Circle says redwoodcircle.com/resources, links to a bunch of older plural community sites. Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, lost a question. There we go. Thank you all for your questions. Really appreciate it. Yomi says, what's the best way dealing with I'm not plural enough, imposter syndrome? Struggling with that even as a 10-year-old system. Don't feel valid enough to be in DID spaces a lot of the time. That's a really good question. Let me think for a second. Okay, so I think imposter syndrome comes from the need or the desire for perfectionism and or control. And plurality is something we can't control. And it's also something we can't do perfect. Especially if you have a disordered form of plurality, you can do it perfectly. But even as a non-disordered system, like you're working with a group of people, so, and even if you were like, even people who are singlet, right, they run into problems and they make mistakes. So there is no way you're gonna do a perfect job, and that's okay. You don't have to. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to figure things out together. So I think that's good to look at together with your system. Like, is there something that you can use, like that you can work through together? And then the other thing is just, I guess, let me think. I guess just accepting that every system is different, and there are various different levels of what they call elaboration in clinical text. Elaboration comes from the theory of structural dissociation, and they explain it as headmates that's not the word they use. Headmates having different names, ages, genders, and interests. And so that varies per system, like how elaborate that is. But it doesn't make you more plural if you are more elaborate. Like if your headmates are more elaborate. Also, I think, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I think sometimes we feel the need or the expectation. We feel the need or desire to exaggerate our signs and symptoms in order to get validated. And again, I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm just saying that's something that some people do in order to get validated. And I think it's not needed. And I hope we can create a community together where it's not needed, and where we can be our individual selves, no matter what that means. Like, we all have a different experience, right? Yeah, I hope that helps. Also, there might be like one headmate in your system, or two or three, who like really deal with this, and then it might be like a passive influence situation. So that's also something to look into. Redwood Circle says, spending time with other systems and seeing how common imposter syndrome is can help with that. Yeah, for sure. Kaylee says, another question. I told my parents that we exist and my parents are gaslighting us. Our mom is trying to get us therapy to tell us even more we don't exist. What do we do? Okay, that's a hard situation. So the ISSTD, the International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation, has guidelines for the treatment of DID. They have two versions. One is for adults and one is for children. And so one of the things that you could do is take those guidelines and go to a therapist and ask if they work with those guidelines. So you have a certain, like, not protection, but maybe some confidence that you're in good hands. And hopefully your parents agree with that. I hope you can find a specialist who will give you good treatment, because you deserve that. Thank you for your question. Hello from the Harbor System. We are very questioning still, but the Plural community has helped us a lot so far in learning more and feeling welcome in the process. That's awesome. The Redwood Circle says, thanks for doing this stream. You're welcome. It's fun. Lots of questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Keep them coming. Let's see. Where were we? How do you tell your friends you're a system? That's a great question. Kind of the same as you tell your family, I guess, if you saw that part of the live stream. After this live stream, I will post on Twitter, on the TPA nonprofit account, a image and also a PDF, if I can get that uploaded on there, that explains DID and OSDD to friends and loved ones for you. So you could just send them that if you'd like to. And it's like, maybe it's not even all the information you want to give them, but it's a great start, or great opening to start the conversation, I think. Okay. Time for a drink. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Wispy says, we're a new small endogenic system and we're not too well with communication yet, but I'm starting to think at the moment we're better with external communication. Any tips on strengthening communication? Yes, many tips, many tips. We have a video available in the Plural Association community with all our tips. I think there are different techniques that work better for other people. That's not good English. I mean, what works for me might not work for you. So hence we have created a video with like 15, 20 ideas on different communication techniques that you can try. A lot of people seem to be interested in trying like telepathic techniques. And our main tip, our best tip, is to start practicing internal communication with one headmate. So if you have external communication, which is also internal communication, but on paper or on a computer or something like that, right? You can get to know your headmates. And then if there's someone that you like and that person likes you, you write on the paper like, hey, let's practice together on communication. And start with something easy. Like it's a lot more difficult to communicate heavy, intense topics. So starting with something positive or something completely random is good practice when you started to practice. So I hope that helps. And else, please watch the full video. Let's see. Sky says, what type of therapy or mental health professional do you suggest? Thank you so much. I think that kind of depends on what you need. If you need trauma therapy, then I advise a trauma therapist who is, or a psychologist who's trauma informed, preferably with a specialization in DID or dissociation, who has a level of plural competency that is comfortable for you. Yeah. The ISSTD, the International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation, has a free database that you can access with therapists worldwide. Hopefully there's someone in there close to you, but a lot of it's going through like the computer at the moment. So maybe that gives some options. Another great option, if you are not so much looking for trauma therapy, but more like system work, or yeah, that's what I'm going to call it, system work. Then another option is to work with a plural coach or a life coach or something like that. Yeah. Can we talk about the guilt feeling, internalized psychophobia and such? Can you elaborate on that, Antujo? I'm sorry, I'm not really sure what you mean with it. Are you feeling guilty about having a disorder, or am I misunderstanding? I'd like to understand better, but currently I don't. Feel free to elaborate and we'll get back to it. Let's see. I'm trying to find the next question. Maybe there's an answer. No. Okay. Redwood Circle says, watch the coming out panel from the Plural Positivity World Conference. Yes, that's a great video. With us and Redwoods and other people sharing their tips and stories and coming out. That's a great video. Thanks for reminding us of all of us of that video. Let's see. Suzanne says, I told my friend last night. I was so afraid to, but it went awesome. She said she would like us all to be her friend if we want to. Everyone was so excited. That is such a lovely thing. That is great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Lika says, how do we help cis kids to feel more safe fronting and in general? Right now, they feel only safe to come out in the middle of the night, which you can imagine causes problems, sleep deprived. Yeah, that is a problem. So I think, so the first thing I want to say is that I'm not sure if this is true. I'm also not sure if it's true for everyone, but I had a specialized DID therapist tell me once that in the inner world, there is no time or no time awareness of the outside world. So what can happen for some systems, possibly, is that there are headmates in the inner world or like not fronting, and so they do not realize that it's 2021 right now. They do not realize they can safely be out in the daytime. And what he explained was that by reserving time for them in the daytime, where you set up something nice, like turn on cartoons, make some popcorn, something like that, watch your favorite movie, whatever, they can slowly start to realize, like, hey, it's 2021, I'm safe, I'm just watching my video and I'm eating the popcorn and like everything is great. So that's the first thing that I want to share about that. Another thing that can help is to practice being co-conscious, so they are not alone, like by themselves. There is, I can't remember her name. There is a Miss America or Miss World who talks about the day and the night child, and so if that is an experience you're having, then the night children are not used, or they think they are not allowed to be out in daytime, and so making a rule that they are allowed to be out in daytime can also be beneficial. Last tip is to have cis kids who can be out in the daytime help the other cis kids to explain that it's okay in the daytime, in the here and now. Okay, I think those are all my tips. I hope that helps. Wispy mentions the 100 positive affirmations for DID systems by Power to the Plurals. It's perfect for all types of systems, though. Yes, it is. I should update the name of that video, to be honest. Let's see if there's an answer. No. Okay. We're going to move on then. Let's see. Sorry. How can we figure out if the repartition of body privileged movement access is equitably repartitioned inside? So sorry, my English is just not good enough to like understand this. Should I try it in Google Translate real quick, see what happens? That is funny. That doesn't happen very often, so well done. No, that doesn't help. Okay, sorry. Medusa says, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here. Oh, here it is. For a question about internalized psychophobia, we refer to the internal judgment based on basic ableism, psychophobia, transphobia, things we've internalized growing up and struggled to untangle. Right? I think that it's not just something that you have to do with your headmates. I think it only works to do it collectively as a system where you validate each other, remind each other that it's okay, be kind to each other, like on purpose, if that makes sense. Say nice things to each other. If someone's self-talk is negative, maybe you can like swoop in a nice way. Like when that judgment comes up, to swoop in a nice way and say something positive and validating instead. I think it's also good to realize that we live in an ableist world, in a psychophobia world, in a transphobic world. So it's very hard to not take any of that in. And then in the DID community, or like the plural community, or the multiple community, or whatever you want to name it. I don't want to call out any group. So any group that has manyness, right? There is so often such a need to have our own experience validated, and by wanting that so much, we sometimes invalidate other people, their experiences. So it can like very easily affect us, and then kind of trigger that internal judgment. So I think I don't know what I think. I think that has a big influence, and sometimes that's really unfortunate, to be honest, which is one of the reasons why inclusion is so important to me, and that people can have their own experiences without the need to exaggerate their signs and symptoms, because they are getting validated anyway. So I think if you have it internalized, which many, if not all of us do, that same validation process can work. Yeah, it's okay to be disabled. It's okay to have a disorder. It's okay to have DID or OSDD. Yeah. I hope that helps. Okay, let's see. Ooh. How do you find a therapist specialized in DID? The ISSDD website has a free database. And outside of that, unfortunately, I don't know. It's very hard. Apparently, it's a thing, at least here in the Netherlands, for a therapist to treat DID, but not put it on their website that they do, so they don't get too many emails. So it's kind of like finding a secret, like they're keeping it a secret. So it's hard to find sometimes. Yeah, I hope the database helps. Let's see. Medusa System says, we've been worried about stigma and losing friends. One of us came out as plural to 2 old friends, and now we're concerned about losing their trust because of their not entirely positive reactions. Have you experienced this, or have you had to manage trust issues with singlet friends? If so, what would you suggest? So, yes, we have, first of all. I think when we found out we had DID, it was pretty like, it shook our world. Is that the right expression? Like, it was a big shock. It was very overwhelming. We had a lot of trouble believing it ourselves. Some of us like outright denied it. And so I can understand that sometimes people in the outside world also need some time to like process what you're saying. And that can be very painful and very hard. If they are good friends, I think they deserve the time to like process. I hope you can create that space for them. Maybe they have questions that they are afraid to ask. Maybe you are afraid of those questions. That's also super valid. But maybe answering those questions can clear up some concerns that they might have. And then obviously there is a lot of stigma on our disorders. So maybe they have certain misconceptions or assumptions about DID that don't necessarily even have to do with you or with your system, but just in general, they might have those like conceptions. So talking about them with your friends can help. Yeah, I hope that helps. Please like the video if you haven't yet. Thank you. Let's see where we are. The Harbor System says, we've been told to take it slow in terms of accepting/deciding we are plural by a therapist. It's very hard to imagine we might not be, though. Is it okay to be certain so soon after considering it? That's interesting. So, okay, let's think. So, I think self-exploring is a journey that can take time. I think it's okay to self-explore, and I think it's okay to be wrong. I think it's okay to change your mind, to change your labels, to change, right? So if you think the same thing, if you think it's okay to change your labels, then it's also okay to be certain, because the day you find out you're not certain, or no, the day you find out you're certain that you are not plural, you can change your labels, right? Because you are okay with changing labels. However, if you are a person that is very much like, is it forever now? And sometimes if you come out publicly, it's also more complicated to like change, not more complicated, but like in a social context, it can be hard. So that's also good to think about. Another thing I want to say is that one of the things we say is that the only way to know for sure if you're plural is by asking your headmates. So if you've done that and they say, yes, we're plural, we're here, we're people, we're parts, we're alters, we're headmates, whatever word they use, right, to describe themselves and their experience, then, you know, that's how it is. Like if you don't have headmates, they're not going to tell you that they're headmates, right? Yeah, that's that's what I think. I think it's also good to talk with your therapist more about why they have this opinion, what they are afraid of. It's not like you can give yourself the ID, you can make yourself plural, but if there are already people talking to you and you're already switching, then like you already are plural, so you don't make yourself plural. I don't know if that makes sense. And if you make yourself plural, that isn't the end of the world either, right? So if it is a choice, I don't know. I understand your therapist's point, I guess, as in if you change your whole life around, but you're not really sure yet, or you're someone who sticks to labels forever, then maybe like take some time anyway if you want to, right? It's okay to take time, and it's okay to change your opinion as well, or to use new different labels for the experience you're having. Okay, I think that's it. Kaylee says, I told a friend we were a system. Turns out they turned out to be a system too. And both of us hosts met theirs and ours. We met a year and a half ago. That's awesome. That's great. Plural magnet. Great that the answers help Lika. Distributed. Okay, let's go up. I don't know the answer to your question. The many, I'm sorry. Rook is asking what the acronym is of the ISSTD. I typed it out for you out. It's in the chat. Oh, sorry. Dr. Sersishon already answered. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, Yummy says, do you have any tips for new fictives and helping them feel not existential, for lack of a better term? That's a good question. I guess helping each other, right? Validating each other. Maybe give them a task if they want to, right? Like if they want to. You heard my headmate scream. If they want to, give them a task in the outside world or in the inside world that makes them feel like, that doesn't just make them feel, but that make them important or valued or needed. Yeah, I hope that helps. Also, maybe talk with other fictives, either in your system or in other systems, to like normalize the experience for them. That might also help. You're very welcome. Let's see. Suzanne says, I, Suzanne, keep forgetting the tip of asking my headmates and believing it when they answer back. And they do answer back every time. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions here today on DID Awareness Day? Maybe for the people who joined later, if you want to share in the chat what you're doing today for DID Awareness Day, that'd be great. What did we do for DID Awareness Day? We had a long system meeting this morning where we worked through some difficult things. But it was really nice actually to come together like that and spend some quality time together. We've been busy this week setting everything up. So yeah, it was good. It was really good. We're grateful for that time that we had together. We posted every hour on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for DID Awareness Day with like facts about DID and OSDD. We also posted donation requests for the Plural Association nonprofit, mainly for the warm line, which we are opening this year, which is the Plural warm line, a online place where you can call, text, chat, email. I think that's it, with a trained Plural volunteer. And we hope that is going to be an epic resource for systems to get not only your questions answered, but also to share your stories and worries with someone who understands, who is in the same sort of boat, and who like understands plurality from a peer perspective. So that's very exciting. We're very excited to open that. We're working hard to finalize the training, and then we can open once the app that we're like, now we have the website, but we want to have the app as well ready. So not everyone has access to a laptop or a computer, of course. So we want to ensure everyone can have access once we open. So that's what we're waiting for, but we're very excited. If you want to volunteer, please email me at contact@thepluralassociation.org, and we would love to add plurals to the team. Okay, let's see for the questions. Oh, yes, if you want more information on the Plural Warm Line, please visit the website, thepluralwarmline.org. Let's see. Dr. Sarsashul says, our question is, where are the cats? That's a great question. They are in the kitchen. Twin Star System says, lighthearted question, do you have songs that remind you of plurality? That's a good question. No. Not out of the top of my head, to be honest. No, but if other people want to share their plurality related songs, please do. That's a great topic. Thanks. Let's see. AP says, or L says, we are deciding with our partner how open is acceptable in the house from now on. I'm a little excited about this. Like how you can be openly plural in your house. Is that what you mean? Mermaid System says, one of my headmates talking often about the headspace, but I, the host, can't enter it. Is there a way how I can enter it? Every time I tried, I fell asleep instead. That's a good question. Find someone in your system who does have access to the inner world or headspace. Ask that person if they can take you there. Maybe it takes practice. Also, we have a video on this channel that is a shorter video about how to build an inner world, how do it yourself. That's what it's called. DIY your own inner world. And in there might be some tips that you can use to access your existing inner world. So yeah, I hope that helps. Another thing you can try is to ask other people in the system or on paper how they enter the inner world. Headspace. And maybe you can try their techniques, like the things they do. Maybe you can try those. Hope that helps. Thanks. Let's see. How would you feel about the idea of an artistic project by Plural centering plurality and all its corners? Asks the many. I would love that. I think we need more artistic projects by plurals. So centering plurality, but also just like, I hope one day, you have a TV show and there is a plural part of the story, but it isn't like the main thing. It's just like a normal thing, if that makes sense. I hope so. I think that would be cool as well. But artistic projects by plurals is something completely different, and I think it's good. I think it's something only plurals can do. I think it's a lot better option than singlets trying to like mimic plurality or whatever. So yeah, all for it. Yummy says, I apologize if you just answered this, but I was distracted. Did you say that there was a system social media site where we can talk to other systems? Yes, the Plural Association started a online community social media network that's only accessible to other systems. And you can find that at www.thepluralassociation.community. Let me type that in the chat because that's very long. There you go. Yes, I hope that helps. If you need a scholarship, let me know. We gladly add you in there. This is a paid platform that we started with the sole goal of funding the Worm Line, because we're going to offer all the calls for free, right? So, and the chats and the text messages. So we have to fund that one way. And so what we've done is we started this community. It's a paid community, and each paid membership includes a full scholarship for Plural We Needs It. So no one is financially gatekeeping. If you want to join, just send me an email at contact@thepluralassociation.org and we gladly add you. Let's see. Medusa System says, is there any connection between being trans and being plural? I've noticed a bit of an intersection between the two groups. Yes, I guess. Sometimes for some people, there is. I also see an intersection. I guess the question is, are many plurals trans, or are many trans people plural? I would love some official research into that. I think that would be epic to have. Yeah, I think there could be, but as far as I know, there is no official research into it, but it's something I see from a community perspective, I guess. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Yummy, for signing up for the community. That's awesome. We're looking forward to talking with you in there later today. Also, so if you sign up this weekend for the community, you get a month free access instead of a week. And tomorrow, Saturday, the 6th, we have our monthly virtual meetup, which we do in AirMeet, which is a software that works in the Chrome browser. And in there, we have various tables, kind of hard to imagine probably. Each table has 8 chairs. Each table has a topic. And so both our volunteers and our community members pick the table that matches their lived experience, interest, or need. and you can meet other plurals there, and you can join with audio, video, or text. So that's a lot of fun. We had such a great time last time. So we hope you'll join us tomorrow there as well. That would be great. Thanks. Rook says perhaps the reverse, being plural and trans. Having more than one sense of gender in one body would contribute more than one person's sense of gender in their body, we think. Yes, we think so too. Kaylee says, do you guys have ghost altars? What do I do with ours? That's a good question. We do. They live in a dedicated area in our inner world. And as far as I know, they don't really leave that place. So to be honest, we don't interact with them that often, right? Like unless something is up, I guess. So I'm not sure if like I have all the answers, but maybe you can ask them if they need something and see if you can provide in that. To be honest, I would treat them like any other system member. Yeah, I don't really have specific advice outside of that. Maybe in I don't know. Sorry. Dr. Sarah says, Sean says, more seriously, we think so too. More plurals are trans rather than more trans people are plural. Yes, possibly, for sure. Possibly, for sure. That's a great answer. Love it. Okay, let's see. Brooke says, everyone should really check out the Plural Association community social network. It's really great there. We would love to see you all there, the Palace. Yes, thank you. Yummy says, on a happy note, I play VR chat and edited an avatar to look like my child alter. She was super happy. She got to spend a few hours in the game with our partner and our friend who know about us. That is awesome. Love that. We played around with that for a little bit. That's great. Nice. You're so welcome, Medusa. We hope to see you in the community. Okay. Awesome. If you have any last minute questions, let me know. And else, we're going back to DID Awareness Day posts. This was fun, though. We had a great time today with like talking with people online and also here with the live stream. If you haven't yet, we released a video an hour before this live stream started on this channel by community members. So I highly recommend you check that out after the live stream. It's a lot of fun. It's a 5-minute video, but it's nice. It's with community members who wanted to share their message with you. So we appreciate it if you can check it out and give it a like. Let's see. Hi, Lunostis Collective. Thank you so much for joining. Nice. Where are we? Kaylee says, our ghost alter's name is Derek. Whenever no one is fronting and or we are rapid switching, he possesses the body during the time and grounds himself. What role would that be? It's a good question. Makes me realize there's not really a role for grounding, but it's a definite task that I think a lot of us recognize. I don't know, maybe protection? Could be. I'd ask Derek. Maybe he knows. Let's see. What's the most interesting fact you have about DID? Also, this was a great stream to listen to. That's an epic question. Love it. Wish I could take 10 minutes to think about this and pick something. What's the most interesting fact about DID? I guess my most interesting fact is that there is an fMRI study from 2018. So pretty recent. And in that study, I think it was with like 70 people, or maybe double of that, like 70 and then 70 with the ID and 70 in the control group. Anyway, it was pretty big, in my opinion, for an fMRI study. And in that study, they mixed the fMRI with AI, and that enabled them to know with 70 or 75% certainty that someone has DID and that it looks different from a what they call healthy brain. So that was very interesting for me that they know with 75% certainty, like that's a huge number. So you like, I don't understand why there are still doctors or psychologists who say that DID doesn't exist or like they doubt the diagnosis. Like, what? Like, that's literally going against science. Like, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. So I think that's an interesting fact. And then another interesting fact is that there was a meta-analysis study, that what it's called, of 100 different studies, and in total I think like 31,000 people participated, and in there they found out that 3.7% scored for DID, 4.5% scored for OSDD, and something like 11 or 12% scored for dissociative disorder, like in general, which is super high, as high as like depression. So DID is not rare. That's for sure. DID diagnoses, though, that is a lot more rare. We know from Putnam that it takes 6 to 12 years before people get correctly diagnosed in most cases. So yeah, those were my DID facts. My OSDD fact last year, we're in 2021. Last year, we worked together with a large group of plurals and also with the clinical community to shed some light on OSDD, because in our community, we talk about OSDD 1A and 1B. But actually, if you look in the DSM-5, there is only OSDD. There is no 1A and 1B. Instead, it gives 7 different examples. So with the Plural Association and with my own work as well, I now tend to just say OSDD instead of 1A and 1B because it can lead to accidental exclusionism. So you're saying 1A and 1B in hopes of like including everyone, but because there are 7 examples, it can lead to exclusionism. So that's my OSDD fact. Yeah. We have a video on our channel if you want to know more about that, which we made together with the Alexandrite system, who have OSDD themselves. Okay, let me scroll up to the questions. Yummy says, is this the end of the live stream? The end is when the questions end. No, I can't go forever. Soon. It's nearly, it is 11 p.m. for me, so soon. Okay, let's see. Domeni says, where do we find the infographic to come out to friends and family? I will post it in social media. On Twitter, it's TPA Nonprofit, and on Facebook, it's the Plural Association. I will post them there, and then yeah, I will try to also upload the PDF version if I can. Else, it's in our newsletter if you get that. Yeah, maybe I can upload it to the website. If it fails, I will upload it to the website tonight, which is the Plural Association. No, where am I going to upload this? On powertotheplurals.com. Yes, powertotheplurals.com is where I will upload it if I can't post it on social media. And else it's going to be after the weekend because I worked hard already. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Wispy says there's also a Stanford study on tulpas, paragenic headmates. I don't know what it's studying, but it's pretty cool. Are they doing that right now, that study? That sounds awesome. I want to know more about that. The only thing I've seen was not from Stanford and also a bit outdated, maybe. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Rook says plurality is far more common than singulets wants to believe because they're uncomfortable about it. Yeah, they are. Must be really hard for some singlets to understand plurality. Let's see. Twin Star System says, do you support reclassifying OSDD1 as a subtype of DID specifically, like minor DID/major DID? No, not necessarily. Definitely not with the terms minor and major, because I don't think it's measurable in that way. What I would support, like, is definitely not up to me. If it was, then I would take out the amnesia out of the diagnostic criteria, and just, like, they have a whole explanation text, right? Mention in there that some people experience amnesia, just as that it says that most often it is associated with early childhood trauma. It's not a diagnostic criteria. And I think that the amnesia also shouldn't be a diagnostic criteria. First of all, because in the DSM-5, it doesn't actually say amnesia. It says out of the ordinary forgetting, which is a very vague term. If your therapist is 25, that they have a very different vision on what that means than when someone is like 60, right? And I also think it could lead to some systems exaggerating their signs and symptoms in order to get validated, or to, like, validate themselves even. So not so much outside validation, but just internally. It might make it so certain headmates will, like, cause amnesia or believe it's okay to hide information from you because amnesia is in the DSM. Like, I see so many problems with this. So yeah, I would love it if they would just take that out, and then we have one disorder, right? Because OSDD, there are 7 examples, but one of the main one is no amnesia. So yeah. Also, right now, DID and OSDD is the only disorder, as far as I'm aware. I'm not a doctor, but as far as I'm aware, it's the only disorder in the DSM where if you heal, you could get a new diagnosis. So if you get diagnosed with DID and you have amnesia, and then you heal, right? You work through your trauma, you, like, hey, we don't have amnesia anymore. That's great, right? That should be great. But then, and I'm not saying therapists do this, but technically you don't meet the requirements anymore for your DID diagnoses, but you would meet the requirements for the OSDD diagnoses, which is super weird. Like, there's no other disorder where you have that, as far as I know. I like it better in the ICD-11 because they use different wording. I'm not sure if I can remember fully, like, on the top of my head. Oh yes, it says most often associated with amnesia that may be severe. And so I think that's a lot better because it like our amnesia is different per system and even per headmate. So it just feels more inclusive, I guess. Yeah, so that would be my my suggestion if I wrote the DSM. Odessa says, how long have you been on? Like an hour? Yes, and 5 minutes. Let's see. Medusa says, it's so cool being here with you all folks. It's an enormous help. Awesome. Thank you so much. African Ski Owl says, I have a question. Go ahead. Post it somewhere and I will find it. Post it in the chat. Let's see. Does anyone else have ADHD? Oh, does anyone else with ADHD have trouble entering headspace? That's a good question. I hope someone can answer that for you. Hi, Ms. Danger. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Dr. Sarah Session says the DSM should be a guide anyway, not the be all and all. Yeah, totally agree on that. It's very hard though to like get your plurality validated outside of the DSM. Like in my experience, I hope other people have better experiences, but for me, it's turned out to be quite hard. Yeah. Let's see. Kaylee says, if you get hurt in your inner world, do you feel it if you front? That's what happens to us. Sometimes. I don't know if all of us do, but some of us do sometimes. The Galactic System says, how can schizophrenia symptoms for systems who are diagnosed with it along with their DIDOSDD? How can schizophrenia symptoms for systems who are diagnosed with it along with their DIDOSDD? I'm not sure I really understand the question. But we have, or I guess, how can you manage your schizophrenia symptoms if you're a system? I don't know. I don't have schizophrenia, and I do not have enough knowledge about that, so I don't feel comfortable saying something about that. But what I can say is that we have a video on this channel that talks about the 7 differences between hearing voices in DID-OSDD versus hearing voices in schizophrenia. And that is based on something that, what's her name? Suzette de Bone or Katie Steele. It says it in the video correctly. Gave us at a conference. So that's not something that we just came up with. That's something that they researched, and we just shared those 7 tips in a video. So maybe that video helps. Let's see. Medusa says there is value in getting an official diagnosis. There can be if you need a disability income now or in the future, I guess. Maybe if you have the diagnosis for longer, it's easier to get disability sometimes in some countries, some states, for some people. It sometimes is needed to get therapy covered by your health insurance. In those cases, it is useful. Outside of that, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor. In my opinion, because criteria A of the DSM-5 for DID says that we can self-report our signs and symptoms, and they do not have to be observed by an outside person like a therapist or your family or a partner. What you do, if you are self-aware, if you're not self-aware, obviously it helps if a therapist diagnoses you or at least like explains to you what's going on. But if you are already self-aware, then you are self-reporting to that therapist who is then confirming what you are saying. So I don't really see the benefit in that, or like unless you need it for insurance purposes or disability income, for example. And sometimes you might also need it for other services or resources, right? But yeah, that's my personal opinion. If you want to pursue a diagnosis, please go for it. Please don't let me stop you. The many says, is it common to have autism traits with some alters and not others, or less? So as far as I've understood, it's only possible for a whole system to have autism, and it's not possible for individual headmates to have autism. But it is possible for some headmates to have autistic traits, which is not autism, but it's autistic traits. And if your system does have autism, then it is possible that some of your headmates have more signs and symptoms of autism than other headmates. I hope that helps. I hope I explained it as well as I can. I did, but I hope it makes sense. Thanks for the question. RH says about this. Autistic traits might happen, but as autism is a neurotype, you're born with it. If you're actually autistic, it affects all in the system more or less. Yes, thank you. Great. Let's see. Gotta scroll up for a second. African ski owl. Yeah, I see your part 2 question, but I don't see part 1. So I'm sorry, I can really follow in this format. Feel free to send me an email though if you want to. Let's see. Sniff says, as part of an autistic system, it makes sense that some alters could present more autistic than others and thus fit it while others don't. Yes. I'm trying to read the questions. Please bear with me. Crystals. Oh, hi, Crystals. Thank you so much for being in the community video. Awesome. That's great. Thanks for being here. So I think African Sky Owl is explaining that a doctor doesn't believe that they have DID because they know each other for 5 years. Is it a doctor? And they would have known. So what I would say to that is that I said this wrong before. Let me think what his name is. Lewenstein is a researcher, and he says that 90% of DID is covert. So that means like hidden. So it's very well possible that people don't see you have DID. And also, no matter if it's a doctor or not, I think it's pretty cocky to say you know someone better than they know themselves. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Life's Journey says, so many questions, but came in late and I don't want to repeat already answered questions. It's okay. You can ask them, and then if I answered them, I will say I already answered them, and then later you can go back and find the answer. Medusa says, is plurality considered neurodivergent? Yes, in my opinion. No, in some other people's opinion. I think we can all form our own opinions on that. Drake says, trigger warning, how common is amnesia? I had one brief thing of it. It was confusing. In DID, based on the DSM-5, I'd say that amnesia is very common because you need to have it in order to get diagnosed with DID. But amnesia shows itself in different ways, in different systems, and between different headmates. So, and also it's possible that you're not aware of amnesia. If you don't know you forgot something, then you don't know. So that's also possible. But I think it's pretty common. Even though I think it shouldn't be a diagnostic criteria, I think it's pretty common. Especially in the beginning of your journey, like when you just find out you're plural or you just get diagnosed. I think there can be a lot of amnesia, but I also think it's something that can be worked through. And I think if it wasn't a diagnostic criteria for some systems, it might be easier to work through it because some of us want to be like the good patient and like follow the rules, or maybe we're even afraid to lose our diagnoses. And we don't want that, some of us. So, yeah. Life's Journey says, I was recently diagnosed. I'm wondering, will things get easier with time or do symptoms continue to worsen? So, yes, things definitely get better with time. We got diagnosed 10 years ago. We have a video called 10 Things I Wish I Knew 10 Years Ago, which I highly recommend to watch if you haven't yet. It will get better. It gets better by working together and supporting each other like through this. However, healing is not linear, so it isn't going to be an upwards thing, right? It's more like riding the waves. And so some moments are definitely going to be hard, but by working together with your system, finding community, if possible, finding a therapist, you will figure it out and it will get better for sure. I hope that helps. African Ski Owl says, so my question is, do I disclose to my friend and ask her to see me in her clinic? I have a very obvious personality change. Yeah, you can too if you want to. The DSM-5 criteria A says you can self-report signs and symptoms and they do not have to be observed by an outside person. So I'd say take that information with you, that knowledge, and speak up for what you need and want. Let's see. Hi, Rachel. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Life's Journey says, the doctor said the voices are not psychoses. Should a person ignore them or is it okay to talk back? I think it's definitely okay to talk back. Here in the Netherlands, we have a very famous doctor. What's his name? So famous, I can't remember his name. Anyway, doesn't matter. He's a Dutch doctor. And he works mainly with people who are schizophrenic, but he has direct contact, if the person is okay with it, with the voices. And if those voices say they have a name, that doctor will call the voices by their own individual name if they want to. Another technique he uses is that he asks like the person in the chair to translate what the voices are saying. So whether the voices are psychotic or not, maybe it can be beneficial to talk back to them, figure out what they want and like who they are, what they need. Yeah, I think that would be good. Brooke says, talking to the voices is how you figure out if they're talking back or just existing. Yeah. Medusa says, thanks everyone. Also, just want to say that after living with this for a bit, meeting you folk and getting more information has made us increasingly proud of our plurality neurodivergence. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Great. That's fantastic. Thank you. Drake says, I'm not sure if I'm transgender or not myself, so confusing, and it's a complicated relationship. A voice told me when I started seeing a gender therapist, you're Allison, and I'm so confused about it. Yeah, it can definitely be confusing, for sure. I hear you on that. I think it's good to take your time to like figure out, your own feelings around gender, but also the other people in your system, and to try to find like first of all, to listen to each other with the goal of understanding rather than agreement. And then as a second step, to make agreements on what you want as a collective system. And yeah, take your time. That's good advice. And talk with the other people in your system. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is that one of the things we say is believe your trans headmates. That doesn't necessarily mean that like your whole system is trans or you have to transition or you have to take any steps. But if one of your headmates says they're trans, I think it's really important to believe them and to validate their experience, and maybe to provide them with what they need, like if they want a binder or anything like that that could help alleviate the dysphoria that they might experience. I think it would be good to providing that so that you all can have a better experience fronting and being alive, I guess. It helps. Kaylee says, what advice do you have for systems in school? That's a great question. I haven't been in school in like 20 years. That's not true. 10 years. That's a great question. To be honest, I don't really know besides use a planner, write everything down that happens, make clear agreements about homework before like playtime. And that you're all on the same, like it's hard to have everyone on the same page, but that everyone at least understands that for the collective system, it's important to finish your education and to like spend time on it and dedicate yourselves to that. Yeah, I think that helps. Outside of that, I'm not really sure. Sorry. Life's Journey says, thank you for answering my questions. How do you get over the fear of what you've done during periods of amnesia? That's a great question. We dealt with this quite extremely, as in we would like have panic attacks about losing time, and about what happened. We were always convinced that something horrible must have happened, because why else would we lose time? And actually, once we started to accept that, first of all, it's just going to happen. It's part of our DID life. And we started to trust each other that nothing bad necessarily happened. Like it's possible, but we changed our default from like something went wrong to like, oh, someone else was outside and we lost time. Another thing that we did was with those who wanted to, like you can't force people, but we asked them like, hey, I lost time. You fronted. What did you do? Like, can you leave in our journal what you've done with the time you were out so we can read back and see what happened? And by doing that, we learned what the other people were doing, what they were interested in. We didn't like everything. Like, if they gamed for 6 hours, we were like, okay, seems like a waste of time, but it's not the end of the world. It's a lot better than the assumptions I made in my head about what happened, right? So once we started to do that, we actually started to lose less time, a lot less time. So I hope that helps. Let's see. African Sky Owl says, P.S. I'm curious if you all got the gift of a perfect service dog yet. I want to set up a GoFundMe for you, or if you still need to raise the funds if you haven't already done that. I really appreciate that, but I'm not fundraising because I live in a very rich Western country with certain laws that technically should provide for me. There are other people in my country who have gotten a service dog financially covered by like the government. So I want to do the same thing. And the last thing I want is to take, that sounds wrong. I have to explain that better, elaborate on that better. I think it's great if other people do fundraising also for service dogs, but for myself, because I feel like my government has a responsibility and I want to keep them accountable, I don't want to do a fundraiser. So that is my thing. However, if you want to donate, please donate to the Plural Association nonprofit, because they can definitely use it for their warm light. Thank you. People are saying thank you. The Manny says thank you for tonight. Redwood Circle says so much great content in the stream. Well done. Okay, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna end the live stream now because I've been here for an hour and a half, and it's it's 11:30 p.m. for me. But this was great. This was so much fun. Thank you all so much for being here and asking your questions in the live chat. If you haven't yet, please go check out the video by the community members who which we uploaded to the Power to the Plural's YouTube channel. So please go check that out if you haven't yet. We really hope you will join the Plural Association community, or at least check it out. You get a month free access this weekend. And if you join today, you can join us tomorrow for the virtual meetup in Air Meet, where you can hang out with our system and many other systems. So that's going to be great fun. This was all in the chat. Tomorrow we also have a chat, but we also have video and audio options to connect with other systems in groups of 8. So we hope to see you in the community. Thank you all so much for being here with us. We hope you have a fantastic DID Awareness Day. And please share the posts and the videos on social media. Invite your friends. If you're financially able, please donate to the Plural Association nonprofit so we can fund more warm line calls. And if you want information about the warm line, you can visit thepluralwarmline.org. So thank you everyone so much, and see you next time. Bye.